Hi, this is Rebecca, and as always, I'm here to support you as you bring seeking to completion and free yourself from the self-improvement trap while you remember who you are. So today I'm here with a reminder that comes from a question that I receive quite often in the realm of people trying to do what they call staying positive, or believing that, you need to stay positive about everything. So when you work on staying positive, then what's really happening is you're trying to forcefully make one side of duality be all that exists. So that immediately sets up a tension and a disharmony that just feeds on itself. So when you're trying to have what is duality, what is in positive and negative, play out only as positive, then that's a difficult to impossible task. And it's completely different than duality playing out in total harmony while simultaneously you are aware of what is more than anything you could even dream of as the most positive thing you can imagine, that's always there. And that all of the duality and ups and downs are superimposed over. So one of the things that can happen when people are so determined to think that, they just want to have only be aware of what's positive, is then trying to reject or separate from or push away whatever's perceived as negative. And then that creates another challenge, because the more conscious you become, that's synonymous with becoming more aware. So the reality of you, the totality of you, doesn't have to try to hide from or reject what it thinks is negative, or to try to not be aware of that, right? And you may have run into in your own past, or maybe in people that you know, that experience where trying to be positive really becomes fingers in your ears, la 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 la, I'm trying to avoid what's happening. So that's in terms of your overall peace and expansion, to remind you that it's everything that you're looking to experience or expand into is all already present. That ever-present, all-embracing love and the peace that comes from that, and the truth of the totality of your being is always already there. It's not something you have to force a kind of false version of in duality. Okay, it's just about being aware of it already being there. Now, this also plays out in terms of when people are trying to manifest or create, then there's often a lot of talk about, just focus on the positive or whatever. And the way harmony really works is not that you block anything out. It's that you let everything come through, and you keep noticing whether that's something that you embrace and love, or whether it's something that you reject. So it's not about just rejecting harder or rejecting more consistently all the things that you think are bad. That's still not going to lead you to any real lasting harmony or happiness, or any of the things that you'd like to experience. And this played out one time a few years back, when my daughter was interested in meeting a pretty famous singer. And, it was what looked on the surface like an impossible task, right? So, because this person was, in a situation where if they were going to be somewhere, people were, climbing trees and standing on cars in order to try to even just get a glimpse of this person, right? So, but I had a sense that it was possible, and that, it would be nice for the two of them to have the opportunity to have a conversation. So I went along with what I was inclined to kind of check into. And there was a friend of mine who did have a connection, kind of a secondhand connection, possibly to the person. And so we went through those channels, and my daughter wrote a letter and so on. And initially, in the time period that there was kind of a window for this, my friend told me, yeah, well, it could happen, or anything's possible, I think, is what he said. And I just took that at face value to mean, oh, okay, or what I thought was face value at the moment, to just kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, it's probably something's going to happen, but I don't want to give away the surprise, or I don't want to spoil it, right? Then a few days in, I'm into this trip we were on. I'm realizing something's not right. Something hasn't connected. Something's not happening. And so I called back up my friend and I said, so do you have any information on that? What's going on? And then that's when he finally said, well, I don't know. I had no idea that this person was as big as they are and as famous as they are. I don't know that it's going to happen. And I said, okay, that's fine. So then with that, I could move forward. And so long story short, through a whole series of seeming impossibilities and then what looked like miracles, my daughter had a great conversation with this person. They had a nice chat. He actually was looking forward to meeting her after having read her letter, which didn't get through the original channel. It went a whole different way. But anyway, the point being that when I spoke to my friend after all of this happened, and I said, well, why didn't you tell me the first day that it didn't, that it wasn't what you thought it was? And he said, well, I didn't want to introduce any negativity into the situation. And so it was a great opportunity to, look into that point of what is it if we're just trying to reject things and block things out. And I said, well, you can't introduce something into a situation that's already there. That already was what I was up against, or seemingly up against, right? So I might as well know it, because the only part of us that is afraid of knowing something that we would consider not what we want to hear or negative is the part that doesn't know what you really are, the part that doubts and believes in these limitations. So it's always, always, always best to open up your awareness and be aware of everything that's how it looks in front of you, but be in the place of remembrance of what you truly are that's unbothered by that. That it doesn't matter what it looks like in front of you right now, because that doesn't mean anything about what's next. Okay? So I hope that can serve as a bit of a reminder to you that it's not about la, 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 fingers in the ears, and rejecting what you think is negative. It's about moving yourself more and more and more into your truth, and into the truth of the totality of your being, and into that boundless, all-encompassing love with no opposite that doesn't need to reject anything, that is able to see what things look like at the moment, because embracing that is what actually opens the way, is what paves the way for greater harmony. It paves the way for whatever it is that you would like to experience. Okay, so keep that in mind, play around with it. See what happens as you use that in your life, that recognizing what's there now doesn't mean that you're going into negativity. It just means you're recognizing it, and that's the only way that you can actually be in full love. Full love rejects nothing. Full love is afraid to be aware of nothing. All right? So play around with that, enjoy it, let me know how it goes. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon.